us another day. Only to scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, taking off without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Hey guys, yo Maisie. I just seen your promise now. Go, it's your show. It's like a guest appearance. I'm making a guest appearance on the show.
A guest appearance on the show. Hello and welcome to Red Devil Studio. I'm Maisie and here is the man himself, Red Devil Studio. It'll be me hosting it for today. I was literally so confused when I seen you thinking, oh my.
No, I thought I've not been on one of these in a while. And there's a lot to discuss and dissect, and yeah, just a lot to talk about really. So, but Maisie, it's your show, so you crack on. You go ahead.
Yeah, so it's Manchester United versus Burnley coming on tomorrow. How do you feel coming into the game?
Okay, I guess okay. I am confident, but part of the reason why I'm confident is more so because of Burnley more than us. Because Burnley is struggling right now. They're in poor form. Their defensive record is actually quite bad, which you say for Burnley. So I'm confident just because of the fact that Burnley's form hasn't been good. And when you look at the fact that, for example, they sold Chris Wood, I think, although they've got this Stegosaurus, whoever he is now, what's his name? Weghorst. Yes, Weghorst. Yes, according to that, yes. So that might be a problem, especially if it gets bullied. But still, I think United should still have the quality to get this job done.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been looking at the Premier League table myself. Burnley have only played 19 games this season. That is, of course, due to COVID regulations and due to the fact of the weather, which was the first game what was called off against Spurs. So they haven't had a good ride so far. They've won one game all season, which is against Brentford. They've had 10 draws and 8 losses. So when you do look at the teams that are actually around them, around relegation and in relegation, they haven't conceded nowhere near as many goals as them. Newcastle have conceded double the amount of goals as Burnley, and they're only in 19th. The Burnley have got one of the highest draw rates in the bottom half of the table. The only ones who have got higher is actually Brighton, who is in 9th place, and then Southampton drawing with them with 10 draws. So when you do look at it, in terms of their losing record, it's not as bad as what you have looked at with other teams in that league, but probably when you do have them games where it all catches up with them, because averaging out, it's roughly around 5 games every 5 days to play the game. So they're going to get extremely fatigued.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, So, and maybe because I think that when we played them it was at Old Trafford, I think, when we played them the first time, and when we won, I guess I was quite surprised by how defensively open we are. That said, I think that they caught us on the counter-attack a few times, and I think if they had finishes, they could have punished us. But it was just so easy, I felt, for us to score against them. That said, I do think that we are somewhat weaker following the transfer window. And I guess this is going to be a question of mentality as to whether or not this United team can, sort of bounce back, as it was, from that, disastrous Middlesbrough exit, and whether they can now turn us around. because there's a real good chance, if we win this game, we'll be, Spurs have more games in hand, sure they do. But Chelsea, to be honest, I was looking at the table and I think that if we win our games in hand, we'll only be 6 points behind Chelsea, and we still have got to play them at Old Trafford. So these are the things you've got to think about. So we really need to take this opportunity while we're here to, bring it in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely, that does make sense. And our last 5 games, we've only lost 1. That was against Wolves. Currently in 4th, Chelsea haven't actually had a very good run. So in these past couple of games, they've only won 1 in their last 5. So we definitely do need to take this as an advantage, and we do need to try and get this win from Burnley. Especially knowing that the next game coming ahead is going to be just as difficult as well, because we've got, people might say, yeah, it's only Southampton next game on Saturday, but we still only managed to get a draw from Southampton's ground, and even Man City have struggled both home and away against Southampton. So we need to try and get these 3 points, and we need to look ahead and re-energise for the Southampton game. And then we got Brighton again next Tuesday, which was our game in hand initially.
I definitely think that Southampton is going to be difficult. That's why for me this game is crucial, because this is a game that we should win. I mean, from what I hear, I think Fred and Tellers are going to be out because they've come back positive. Obviously, who else is out? Cavani and Lingard are back, so that's good. Lindelof, I think, is back now, so that should be fine. So I think, and obviously Pogba is obviously back, as we know, with obviously others going on loan. So, we should have enough. I'm still not convinced about. Well, we'll go into the lineup in a second, but I think overall we still have enough to beat Burnley. But I guess it's important that Box, I've just seen the comment. We'll get to your comments in a second, but Lindelof and Bay, unreliable. So I thought you said unavailable. So what my point was is that we should still have enough to beat Burnley, but if we don't beat Burnley, then it's going to be difficult for the next couple of games, because this is the game that we need to win in order to solidify top 4. Is what the point.
I think if we do definitely not win against Burnley, we have got very slim chances of actually staying in that top 4. And I've never been this type of person to say we need to aim for top 4. I absolutely hate it, as we are a team what should aim for winning titles, aim for winning cups. But this season has gone completely messed up, and I've always hated the thought of we need to aim for top 4. But that is exactly what we need to do this season, because that's how much disappointment and how many losses we've had already throughout the season.
Yeah, that's the problem. And the reality is that, like, and I've been telling United fans, so is that, we're essentially going into a rebuild, because the reality is that we are going into a rebuild because potentially 7 or 8 players are going to be gone in the summer. We know definitely, I'm fairly confident that Pogba, Lingard, Mata is out of contract. Who else is missing? Pogba, Lingard, Mata. There's one more person. Cavani. All those who are probably going to be gone in the summer. You could make an argument that potentially Martial and Van der Beek might push for moves because they're on loan and they're not happy and they want to leave. Ronaldo potentially might leave depending on where we finish. So those were a lot of players. So that's potentially up to 7 players that might be gone, and those need to be replaced. Obviously, the Greenwood situation, enough said. So that's 8. So how if up to 8 players leave, how are we going to sign as 8 players? So we need to get top 4, because we need to put ourselves in a position where we can attract a lot of players, bearing in mind the fact that we've got potentially a massive rebuild job on our way.
And you do look at as well, like, if, for example, we get into the top 4 anyway, and then we decide, let's invest in Declan Rice, and Declan Rice is 100 million. But then you look at it and then you think, so what happens to the rest of the positions what we do need to invest in? Because we spent 100 million in one position. Does that mean the owners and the board think, nah, don't matter about the rest, and then we're just gonna be stuck anyway for the season.
I don't know, Fumazi, because like it's. I don't know why we can't do what Chelsea. I know Chelsea fans are complaining now, but I don't know why we couldn't do what Chelsea would do, which is just and but also like whatever happened to loans? Whatever happened to loan deals like in January? Maybe not in the summer, but certainly in January. We don't have to necessarily buy a player per se. So there were a lot of very good. I mean, you look at what Barcelona have done, for example. I know it's a bit different, but they've got. Okay, they bought Aubameyang, but they've also done with Traore on loan. I think they've got another player on loan, and that's already helped to. You saw what they did to Atletico Madrid. So I don't know why we don't have the tactical nous to say, listen, we don't have to go out and spend huge amounts of money on marquee signings to progress. Why don't we have a combination of youth, maybe some decent loan deals, and then maybe one or two marquee signings for the brand? I don't know why we have to, as well, we have to. No, if we're going to make a purchase, it has to be a player that has 100 million followers on Instagram. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's strange.
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna go through a couple of the comments and then we'll do our predicted lineup. We got Noah in the chat. Weghorst will dominate Varane. He is 6'6". Jeez. Wow, it's another Peter Crouch in our hands, let's just say. Michael is in the chat. Hello to Michael. I hope you're well. Corner is a bad boy and is the most anti-Burnley player ever. A must-win for United. And is Varane and Sancho playing? There has been no rumours to suggest that none of them are out. I actually did watch a little bit of Raul's press conference today, and the reason why he did take off Varane was because he has been playing quite a lot. He's been in such great form, and because of his injury record in the past, he took him off so he could prepare him for the Burnley game. So I am expecting at least Varane to start, and I should expect Sancho to start as well. Noah said DLL. Not too sure what that means though. Box said Lindelof plus Bayer unreliable. I will start Jones. Varane is our two best centre backs. That's very interesting.
You trolling? There must be. I mean, that. Don't get me wrong. Like I have from what I've seen of Jones, he doesn't look. I mean, I guess in the games it wasn't a lot of pressure on, but he doesn't look bad. So and it couldn't be any worse than Maguire's disaster classes have been this season. So, he's part of the Champions League squad now. He's okay. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
We got EFAC. Yo, hello to you. Thank you for tuning in. Bosses said, I can see yours coming unstuck at Burnley. They keep clean sheets. Plus, we don't score. Could be 1-0 either way. Pogba, Cavani, Matot, Grant, Lingard, all free agents. Matic, Axel, Pereira, Chung, I can see being offloaded.
Well, it looks like, sorry to interrupt you, Maisie, but it looks like Pereira, I think I've just seen Fabrizio tweet that Pereira is in the process of being offloaded to Flamengo, I think for about £10 million fee with add-ons. So I think Pereira will probably, out of all those, Pereira's the one that's most likely to go fairly soon, actually.
And to be honest, that would be a good move for him because he's got no room at Manchester United, to be fairly honest.
Yeah.
Henderson, Martial, Donner, Bayer want to leave. If Pogba plus Martial plus Cavani go, that will free up 850k a week in wages. If Ronaldo goes, that will be another 500k a week what's been freed up. So that is a lot of wages.
Yep.
Noah said Eric Bayer. We got Cool in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Man United had a favourites to beat Atletico. That is a fact. I hope that was the case.
I'm not sure about that, but go on.
S is in the chat. Hello to you. Barca are miles ahead of Dead United. Can you finally admit that Penaldo made United worse? And please can you analyse his performance against 7th place in the Championship? I will openly admit and say that it was not a good game from Cristiano Ronaldo, and his finishing, he wasn't clinical, and he should have scored that penalty.
What I would say though is that there wasn't really any other options though. I mean, even if I agree and say that which he did have a bad game, look at the bench. Like there was no one else.
Yeah.
Like Cavani wasn't available. We know
he was away, wasn't he, at Uruguay?
Greenwood enough said, so you're basically the only situation you could have done is you could have potentially played Rashford at 9 because he's played at 9 before and played Alanga on the left and played Sancho on the right, which I don't know. I never really. None of what I saw when I think Ollie tried playing Rashford at 9 for a while when he had Martial was out, and he never looked convincing as a number 9, to be honest. Like at all. There's literally nobody else. So what? I mean, this is the problem with United right now is that like I don't think people can at this point in time the squad is so bare and potentially could be even more bare if there are injuries that I don't think you can say, oh, this player's bad, this player's bad, this player's bad. It's actually this, aside from defense, it's actually like this player is the player that's available because we're short on forwards that are fit and we're short on midfielders that are fit. It is what it is, so go on.
Bots has said Lukaku performance versus Plymouth was laughable. Noah, it's a prediction for your next 3 games, draw, loss. And whose fault is that your bench is weak? You've got nothing to blame but the board, because it's them who, of course, made all these decisions to send all these players on loan, to give players extended breaks as well, because Lingard actually had time off, and that was authorised by the board. It wasn't authorised by Ralph. Cavani had an extended leave. Who authorised that? So a lot of it, I would definitely do a blame with the board, if you do agree with that as well.
Yep. Well, the board or the people are high ups, because like I said, no manager wants their players on sort of. So I'm sure if it was up to Ralph, Cavani and Alinga would have been available for the Middlesbrough game. I'm not saying that justifies the loss. So, but at the end of the day, like it's like with any game. There are a lot of teams. Like I even remember when Man City was struggling against some League One team. I think it might have been in the previous FA Cup. They were struggling, but they had Kevin De Bruyne to come on the bench, and they won the game convincingly. Sometimes that stuff happens, and then for whatever reason, because you can't underestimate any team, I believe that in football. So what you then need to do is that, well, what's your bench doing to give you something different? And our bench made our team worse somehow, So it is what it is.
Exactly. And a couple more comments we'll go through. Noah, you loaned out several players instead of giving them game time. Absolutely correct. Box, Lingard plus Cavani were on well-earned vacations. Exactly. Authorised by the board. Danny, hello to you. Thank you for tuning in. I can't believe some kids call Ronaldo the GOAT. It's hilarious. And EFAC, United is going into the unknown next season, which is absolutely correct. And I have even said to people, what the board should have done is made interviews for the permanent manager before the January transfer window, got that announced on social media so the fans, the players, everyone knows who the new manager is going to be in the summer. So then we all know how good Ralph is in identifying great players. And what he could have done, he could have said, right, say for example, it was Ten Hag who was the manager. Okay, Ten Hag, well, this is Ten Hag's style of play. This is what Ten Hag's philosophy is. So this and this player, let's go for him. I'll train him up for this part of the season, for the remainder of the season, and then Ten Hag takes over, and that's what it should have been.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Like, you look at it from Manchester City. Before Pep Guardiola came to Manchester City, he actually got announced in the January transfer window to say, he had this advertisement, I am the brand new manager of Man City kind of thing. And this is what Manchester United should have done. They should have done the exact same instead of going into the unknown.
No, I agree. But that will be using the brain, Maisie, which our board do not do much of. Unfortunately, they just don't.
That's
They
very,
don't.
very true. That is true. So what we'll do our predicted lineup. So I'll go and start, of course, with the goalkeeper first. And for me, I think De Gea will be back as that number one goalkeeper. I know that Ralph is extremely happy with De Gea this season. He's definitely one of the best stoppers in the Premier League, if not the best. His form has been absolutely incredible. For me, he's just been brilliant. He's won Player of the Month, Premier League Player of the Month for January, so I think he will be definitely back in that starting 11 role. Do you would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, what I would say about this, the whole thing was that like it goes to my theory about Henderson saving penalties because I just assumed that if Henderson had been in goal for the penalties of Europa, we would have probably won that Europa League final. But the fact they didn't, I mean, there were very good penalties. Not gonna lie, there were very good penalties by both teams. But I guess my assumption was Henderson's in goal, we got a good chance. That proved
Yeah.
me. So as far as I'm concerned, De Gea being in goal, fair enough.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what I was thinking as well. That Dean Henderson, his save percentage in terms of penalties is absolutely brilliant. So I was expecting that he would actually have won these penalties, but he didn't.
Mm,
He didn't even save one, which was I was completely surprised about, to be honest.
mm, mm,
We'll go now for our right back, and for me, with our right back, I think it's going to stick with Dalot. I think with
mm,
Wan-Bissaka, I think it's going to be an extremely difficult
mm,
process if he is wanting to get back into that starting 11 position. And from what I was hearing, rumours that Ralph isn't happy with Wan-Bissaka, he wants to sell him on.
mm,
So if that is exactly how he's feeling, I can't see Wan-Bissaka getting any game time whatsoever unless Dalot is injured.
mm,
And
mm.
Dalot has actually past so many games. I would say it's been since the game before Brentford. I'd say his form has been absolutely incredible. I couldn't fault Dalot at all in any of the games he's played.
Where was Wan-Bissaka against Middlesbrough?
I think he was on the bench.
He was on the bench. So Dallo played at right back.
Yeah, Dalot played as a right back.
Interesting. So even for the FA Cup game, he didn't even start. That's the thing for me. One thing with Wan-Bissaka because that would be the game that you would. I think I know Tellez was unavailable. I think at that game for I think for the because he was positive then, so you don't know. But the fact that Wan-Bissaka was on the bench, and didn't play in the FA Cup game despite being available, I think is saying something. So you're right. I think it's going to be very difficult for Wan-Bissaka to come back.
Yep, 100%. So I think Dalot is going to get that starting 11 place all over again. So for the left back, we already know that Tellez is out due to COVID, so we definitely know that Luke Shaw is going to be playing that left back. If you agree with that,
Yes, he'll play because of Tellez being out.
And for the centre backs, who do you think will be the centre backs?
Varane will obviously be one. I don't think there's any question there. The question is now that Lindelof is back. Does Lindelof go back in along? It'll be interesting to see what it does because Maguire obviously has played the last two games. With Lindelof being injured, and then on top of that, with the whole family situation. So it'll be interesting to see whether he sticks with, and on top of that, Eric Bailly is back as well. So it's just a thing. Ironically, up in the centre back department, we're actually pretty stacked. We've got all our four centre backs back fit: Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, Bailly, and now Jones. We actually got 5 centre backs that are available, so we're pretty stacked in that area. You can make an argument maybe we should play with a back three, but I won't go there. I mean, personally, for me, like I said, I would, because I love Bailly, I would play Bailly with Varane just because at least if we play Bailly and Varane, we will be able to play a higher line. That's why I like playing with Bailly because anytime we play with Bailly, who's quick, we can always go up the field a bit further. But he's probably not going to play Bailly, so I would imagine is he going to bring Lindelof back in for Maguire though. That's the thing.
I would personally rather put Lindelof in over Maguire, to be fairly honest, because I think Lindelof overall has been much better, and
Yeah.
there hasn't been too many games where he's been at fault, and we
Yeah.
haven't actually seen Ralph dropping
Mm.
Lindelof. The only reason why he hasn't played is due to circumstances offside of the pitch. So that is the only reason why he hasn't played. Otherwise, I genuinely believe that Lindelof would have been kept in that starting 11.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like he should go back in, but I don't know whether. That's why I don't know much about Ragnick as a manager yet to decide how he will go. Whether he is like a loyalty manager in that end. Oh, I picked Maguire for 2 games, so maybe I should see how it goes because he's taking this opportunity, or whether he's like, no, my preference is for Lindelof because I think he's a better player. I'm going to bring him back in. I'm going to go with the fact that it's probably going to be the latter. So yeah, I'm going to put Lindelof back in here.
I agree.
That said, Lindelof, the only reason why I have an issue with Lindelof playing in this game against Burnley is that Lindelof gets bullied too easily, and if he's going to be tasked to mark this 6'6" guy, we might have a problem because he does get bullied a lot. And while he's a better technically, I think, than Maguire doesn't get bullied as much as Lindelof does. So he's going to have to be careful for that.
I agree. I don't think Ralph really does hold loyalties to these players, especially knowing that he thinks I'm only here for 6 months, so what's the point of me holding loyalties to these players? And he doesn't strike me as a yes man, in my opinion. We've seen that he has dropped people, he has substituted people off when he thinks it is necessary to substitute them off. So I don't think he will hold them loyalties, but it will be very interesting to see on how Lindelof will actually react if he does play against the brand new player at Burnley, because especially with the size of him, it is not looking good. I did do a preview actually with a Burnley player, and he did play the other day against Watford. He said he wasn't really impressive from what he's seen, but of course it's a brand new league, so it's just about adjusting in.
No, okay, fair enough. Yeah, we'll see. It's just like I think that's the main issue that I would have with Lindelof coming to this team is that he is shorter compared to the other sort of centre backs that are there, and he does, from what I've seen, he does tend to get bullied very easily. And I've seen it even the games against Burnley when he's played. I've seen at the same time he gets bullied. He just gets bullied. So Varane is really going to have to step up in leadership there. Otherwise, if Lindelof doesn't play, I'm not going to be completely in this game in particular. I'm not going to be against Brighton and other teams. I don't mind, but against Burnley, when they have these big forwards where they're literally the only thing with Burnley is lob the ball up the field, cross the ball into the box, and get Weghorst or whoever they have to head on the ball. That's basically Burnley's tactic, But it's an effective tactic if you can bully the defenders and win the ball and get something off, So that's the big issue there.
I'm gonna go with the midfield, and for me, with the midfield, I think Ralph is gonna stick to the exact same one. I think he's gonna stay with McTominay, and I think he's gonna stay with Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba played for roughly around 70-80 minutes in the Middlesbrough game, and I think the reason why he's done that just so it allows him to play again for Burnley, because we all know how Burnley do defend quite good, and Paul Pogba is very good in terms of his goal scoring. He can score from outside the box, and I think with them kind of creativity from Paul Pogba, that could be potentially needed in a game like Burnley. And for McTominay, it just seems that Ralph is really liking McTominay. He is the only outfield player who has played the most games under Ralph Rangnick, so I can't see him losing his position at all, especially with the only next fully fit midfielder being Matic.
Yeah. I think this is again a necessity thing. Whether Fred would have come in or not, I'm not 100% sure. But with Pogba now being back, it was going to be Pogba and McTominay at least, I think. But yeah, there's no Matic. I mean, again, the only thing about Matic again is that again his height. He's quite physical and stuff, and maybe in order to provide a bit of stability. You could say that he could play in the game. So if he did play Matic, Pogba, and Bruno, especially because Burnley aren't exactly like this, not this quick transitional counter-attacking side. So it's not like we have to worry about Burnley's pace. So this is another one where I'm like, I wouldn't really have a problem if Matic started over McTominay and we played 4-3-3 in that position, because we're not going to get overrun in the mid. As bad as United have been, I've never seen a game where we've been overrun in the midfield by Burnley. That's never happened because they don't play that way. But I agree with you. I think McTominay will start, however.
I hope now we don't get overrun to Barrow's game after you saying that.
I know. I've jinxed it, haven't I? I've jinxed it. So I've jinxed it.
Touch wood.
I've jinxed it. So, but fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We can't.
And of course, for me, the attacking midfielder, it's going to stay as Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is going to definitely stay undropped, especially for the remainder of the season, unless, of course, he does pick up an injury. Paul Pogba may potentially move to that number 10 role, and maybe we might see Fred there, or we might see Hannibal Manjaba.
He needs. If I'm honest, if I was to say something controversial, I wouldn't actually have minded to drop Bruno for this game to play Matic, McTominay, and Pogba, but play Pogba where Bruno is and play McTominay, Matic there. And the main reason for that is that, like, I'm not saying I have an issue with Bruno, but like, I do have a problem where he constantly vacates the midfield, and almost sometimes plays higher than Ronaldo does at times. Like, yes, he is a cam, and he helps to create for forwards, but he's also supposed to be a midfielder as well. Like, he's not a forward, So, and I think a lot of United fans is like, okay, yeah, he assists and he does that. It's like, okay, yes, but the assists and the thing should really be on the burden of the wingers and the striker. He needs to be I think he needs to at least start to be a midfielder first, because he's putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on the two behind him. And as much as McFred have been bad at times, sometimes I'm like, it doesn't help if Bruno is all the way up there and he doesn't actually bring these other fellow midfielders into play. So I hope because in the first half against Middlesbrough, if you watch the game, he was doing that. He was a lot deeper and was bringing people. But especially as soon as Pogba went off for some reason, he just bombed off. He just went forward, and when Fred and Otto came on, it was just so, yeah.
Some people argue as well that Bruno should play maybe in the pivot and Pogba should play that 10 instead. So if I change that around, obviously I doubt it is going to happen. But if, for example, Bruno Fernandes played alongside Scott McTominay and then we see Pogba there as an attacking midfield, do you think that might work a lot better in terms of the midfield getting exploited?
I think that would work a lot better because Pogba does tend to drop deep as well, and just naturally, like, he goes forward, like he is just as creative, if not, in my opinion, even more creative than Bruno. I think he's more creative than Bruno, but also Pogba will drop deep. So Pogba will drop deep when he maybe not to centre back deep, but he will drop deeper than Bruno does at times. So therefore, I don't think the midfield will be as exposed. Whereas if you tell Bruno, no, you stay with McTominay or go up, as needs be to create the play. I think that balance would work better than putting Bruno where Pogba is now, and then he goes and then spends time with Ronaldo as the number 9, and meanwhile, our midfield is exposed sort of because of that.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same, that maybe Bruno Fernandes could be more beneficial playing in that double pivot, but then I think to myself, would he suit playing alongside Scott McTominay, or do you think we the same as Paul Pogba, it'd be better as alongside a proper CDM?
Well, you could actually, for this game in particular, you could drop I would play like Matic, Pogba, and Bruno in this anyway, because you don't need, because Matic is still a better CDM than McTominay. He is. But the issue with Matic is just his mobility; he's just not quick. But Burnley are not that quick anyway. So, like for the context of this game, it doesn't really matter for me. You can play Matic for the first 60 minutes of this game. We see off the game, we win the game, and then you can bring on McTominay on for balls and stuff like that. Against Brighton, other teams, you can't do that. But against Burnley, it's no big deal.
And I think the last time, though, we seen Matic and Pogba play together, it was that 4-2 loss against Leicester.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You can't because Leicester have overall better midfielders, I would say, and that are quicker. And Matic was just getting bypassed. Although McTominay did come on, if I recall, for that game sometime as well.
Yeah,
I can't remember. So, but yeah, he will get. He just doesn't have the legs anymore to compete in a mobile midfield. So I'll be using Matic sparingly. But for games like this, when you don't have a mobile midfield, which is very rare, but Burnley is one of those games, I would use him.
Mm-hmm. We'll go now with our left wing. A lot of people have had a different opinion on this regarding Rashford and Alanga. For me, I actually think perhaps Alanga might come back to that starting 11 place, because I think the only reason why Alanga got dropped is because he's been playing a lot of games recently. He has been playing more Premier League games, and I think Rashford may come on as an impactful sub, because I think right now Rashford is better as an impactful sub. He's been changing the game, getting them last minute goals. So I think Ralph would rather start Alanga, put Alanga on for 70 minutes and then put Rashford on.
It's an interesting one because Cavani's also back. And I do wonder, because it's funny, we're talking about his formation, and maybe I assume he'll still go for 4-3-3, but I wonder whether now that Cavani's back, whether he might default back to his 4-2-2-2. Because he did play that against Burnley. I'm fairly sure he played that against Burnley, especially because Cavani's back. So there is a part of me that's like, if we're going to play 4, you've got to get Cavani in here somehow. You just got to. Because, and I don't know how you do that, whether you play Cavani on the left and then Ronaldo up top, or whether you play, so Cavani on the left, Ronaldo on top, and then you have like Rashford or Sancho on the right. I'm not sure. But for me, Cavani has to come back into this team. Because I think that we missed an element of that against Middlesbrough as well. And I think Ragnick,
I agree.
And I think Ragnick will want to try something different going into this game, because all those players that we mentioned were played against Middlesbrough and they went out like that. So this is a difficult one, because I'm like, in order to fit Cavani in, does he switch his formation back to 4-2-2 because we are pressing better? Or does he try and shift Cavani out left and play Ronaldo in the middle? Or for example, when Cavani we usually play almost like a 4-2-4, where you have basically Bruno, Cavani, Ronaldo, and Sancho, or whoever's on. We just go out and attack. I don't know. What do you think about Amazi? Like, I just think he's got to change it, surely.
For me, I think he will just go to what the players are used to, because the last time we actually used that 4-2-2, that was actually the Wolves game where we actually did lose against. And then after that, he reverted it to that 4-2-3-1. And we managed, of course, to get that win against Aston Villa, which was, people will probably say, was very iffy. We had a draw against Aston Villa the following game, but we played well the first half. We've done it for Brentford, done it for West Ham, and we've done it for Middlesbrough as well. So I think because he isn't getting poor results, and I feel like especially that 4-2-2, because it's so wide, we're having to rely on the fullbacks quite a lot. A lot of people, a lot of the players were actually taking advantage because it's such a narrow formation. We're going through the middle because the players were leaving that open for opposition players to go through.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Again, I guess in that case, we'll go with Alanga. We'll go with Alanga on the left. I think to bring that in. Yeah.
And I'm gonna go as well with Sancho on the right, if you agree with that.
Yes, and Sancho did have a solid game against Middlesbrough. I think one of the few players to have like a good game. So hopefully he can play into some good form coming into the Champions League game against Atletico. So yeah, I agree. Sancho on the right.
Yeah, exactly. And Sancho actually got his first Old Trafford goal against Middlesbrough as well. He hit the bar and he managed to score in the first half. So it was absolutely a great achievement there from Jadon Sancho to get his first Old Trafford goal.
Yeah.
And especially now he's on good form, I can't see Ralph wanting to drop him for the only available option, which is Lingard, or playing Rashford on the right.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll do Rashford on
Yeah.
the right, not at all.
Yeah.
We'll go with the final one, which is a striker. This one is for me the most difficult one. I actually do believe that he's gonna rest Ronaldo, and I think he'll play Cavani and then maybe use Ronaldo as a sub.
Because we're playing on. Are we playing on Saturday? Aren't we?
Yeah, we're playing it on Saturday, so I think what he'll do, he'll use Cavani, and then he will put Ronaldo as a sub, and then it'll be the opposite way around on Saturday. He will start Ronaldo, then sub Cavani.
Yeah, that's fair. I think because Ronaldo did play against Middlesbrough, Cavani's rested, and can Cavani? Yep. I think that although Ronaldo will be angry about it, obviously, but yeah, I think, and to be honest, I think that the balance will probably work better. To be honest, so, and he has dropped Ronaldo before to rest him, so which I think is fair, So yeah, I would put. The irony is that Ollie got a lot of stick for dropping Ronaldo. How can you drop Ronaldo? You don't know what you're doing. Blah 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 blah.
Even Sir Alex Ferguson went mad at him.
Exactly. So he can't play every game at the end of the day.
Maybe this is quite controversial, but I do believe that Edinson Cavani is a much better striker than Cristiano Ronaldo as an overall. Just because I feel like when Ronaldo was younger, when he was at Manchester United the first reign, he was a winger. He had the pace on him. He was pressing. And I think later on his years as a footballer, he just got moved over to that striker role because his pace wasn't the same and he wasn't pressing.
Mourinho converted him into a striker basically at Real Madrid, and he played that since. And he had likes of Benzema and Bale and all those people to sort of help to create for him as well, to help, which was the big thing, But he didn't have that at Juventus, and he has that even less at Manchester United, So, but you're right, Cavani's, not that Ronaldo's movement is bad. Ronaldo's movement can be really, really good, So he's still better number 9 than some of the number 9s we've had. But you're right. I think Cavani being there, and I think the most important thing with this formation is that Elanga and Sancho. Well, Sancho is a winger and he creates, so I've got no issue with Sancho. Elanga needs to remind himself that he is a left winger and not an inside forward, and not be selfish, not be like Greenwood or Rashford or maybe not Lingard. Lingard's not actually that selfish, but look around and create is the point I'm trying to make. And if they do that for Cavani, we'll win the game.
Exactly, 100%. I wasn't, of course, discrediting Ronaldo, but I just think with Cavani, he's a brilliant number 9 where he's good on and off the ball, because even when he is off the ball, he's still trying to search, to create, to go forward, and that is exactly what Edinson Cavani is all about. Whereas I feel like with Ronaldo, when he's off the ball, he's kind of non-existent for me.
I mean, literally, the only reason why some of these players might not play is because they're out of contract in the summer and the board wants to be petty, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what we have for starting 11 wise. There could be some potential changes. Of course, Rashford coming in for Elanga. And I even think maybe Annabelle Manjabe, he could be an option because he was actually on the bench. So, and we have actually been hearing rumours from Ralph that he wants to break him into the Manchester United first team by the end of the season.
No, that's possible. I mean, to be honest, I think he'll be forced to. Because I'm sure at some point we have what? Fred, Pogba, McTominay.
We got 4 midfielders.
4 midfielders, so one of them is going to get injured from now to the end of the season or suspended or whatever, So at some point he's going to be forced to do it anyway. At least have him available on the bench. It just is what it is. So I wouldn't be surprised.
He's better as a number 10 though for me, Hannibal. So what would happen if that was the case? Would he be played in that, if we played a 4-2-3-1, would he be used as a double pivot alongside Matic or Scott? Or would Bruno Fernandes have to be dropped deeper back for Hannibal?
That's what I think might happen. Maybe Bruno might have to drop deep, having more experience in that role. And then Hannibal maybe play a forward to just integrate him and to utilize our midfielders. So that's why I think the player has most experience will go in that position. So I presume Bruno would drop deep. So I'm surprised Bruno Fernandes hasn't been injured yet, to be honest. So it shows him and Fred's fitness, But,
here is a fact about Bruno Fernandes. In his whole player career, he has only ever been injured twice. Been out twice. One of them was with the flu.
That's ridiculous.
He's only ever been out with once with a proper injury, and that was for 10 days. And the other one was because of the flu.
That's ridiculous. Him and Fred, I think, are our fittest athletes. I don't know what it is, but those guys never ever, and obviously Fred's out because of the infections, so that's different. So, but in terms of injuries, they just don't pick any, and I don't understand it because all the expensive, overpaid, and certainly all the English players, they get injured all the time. Shaw gets injured. Even Maguire starting to pick up things. And they're all, Fred and Bruno are fairly close to similar ages. They're 27, they're late 27s. So I don't know what it is basically what I'm saying. I don't know how they managed to obtain to be so fit, and yet so many players in our squad are out almost every season. It just makes no sense.
Exactly. And Fred has actually hold a record. So I think in the 2019-2020 season, he held the record for the fastest player at Man United.
Yeah. And I think we're going to miss that tomorrow because Fred's, whatever you say about Fred's ball control, his tenacity and speed is actually very, very useful to give us just a bit more energy, and especially winning the ball higher up the field, etc. My always problem with McTominay and Pogba sometimes, so is that because Pogba isn't that quick. A lot of people don't really realize this. Like he carries the ball well when he can drive and he can make really good, but he's not that fast. So as a result, like our midfield, even though that midfield looks talented, like it's actually quite slow. It's not a quick midfield at all. So that's why against other teams, it can still be overrun by quicker midfielders from what I've seen. Whether that happens tomorrow or not, because Burnley, like I said, are don't have the most robust and quick players, remains to be seen,
Mm-hmm. What we'll do before we wrap up, we'll go through the remaining of the comments. So where was I up to? Okay, yeah. Tuanzebe was your fifth choice at Aston Villa. Tuanzebe has been left out of Napoli's Europa League squad. So that isn't even good for Tuanzebe at the moment. He's not getting game time wherever he's going, and you do question why that is. Noah said Tuanzebe is arguably your second/third best defender, and I probably wouldn't even argue with that one, to be honest. I think he's brilliant, Tuanzebe, and he's definitely someone for the future for me. Noah, I know he shouldn't have been third in the Aston Villa squad. S has said Pep was unemployed when City was announced him. You cannot announce Ten Hag or Poch because they're at bigger clubs right now. But if I recall, with Pep Guardiola, he did announce he was leaving, but he was still the Bayern Munich manager when he did get announced for Man City, but he did announce before that he was leaving Bayern Munich. So he was still technically the Bayern Munich manager when he got announced, if I'm correct.
Yeah, if I remember that he was still, because that's why Bayern Munich themselves were a little bit peed off, and they had a dig at Pep Guardiola when he left because of that reason. So no, that's technically not. He wasn't unemployed. He was still getting paid by Bayern because he was still there towards the end of the season. Just that he'd announced that he was leaving the club at the end of the season, was he wasn't going to renew. So I guess so, but Ten Hag could also do that as well. So,
exactly, and there's actually been rumours what come out today that Ten Hag is wanting to stay at Ajax for next season.
isn't wanting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's
And
interesting.
neither is Van der Sar.
Interesting. Oh wait. Oh well. Maybe that's because of what's going on at upper management with Overmars. But that's another conversation.
Of course, but
Another-
we need to keep our eyes open for ourselves.
we do.
EFAC, Wan-Bissaka's time was always going to be up when we got a progressive manager, which is absolutely correct, because as much as I like Wan-Bissaka, he isn't a modern day right back, what you see of a Trent Alexander-Arnold or what you see of a Reece James. So he isn't always going to be seen as a player to be played when you want to play quick ball, when you're wanting your fullbacks to be used as a going forward situation. Big up to Luca. Thank you for tuning in. He asked, where did you get that thumbnail?
I'm a guy who helps to make my thumbnails, so I'll DM you the guy. But he's very good. I only just changed the design recently because of the AFCON. Because I like the look of the AFCON ones better compared to the ones I've used previously. And I do change things from time to time to keep things different, you know. So yeah.
Ice Freezer, Big RDS.
Thanks, man.
We got Zohab, hello to you. Thank you for tuning in. S asked, did you see the video of Zuma kicking the cat? I didn't see that at all. Did you see that?
I didn't. I hope he didn't, because that's not going to go down well with anybody. No. So yeah.
Not at all. Nico Brin, reverse jinx. That was probably when you said that about. Oh, I can't remember what you said.
Oh yeah,
it's about the striker at Burnley.
Yes, exactly.
Bruno and Ronaldo are two of the worst players in Europe right now. Rashford too. And Solo is in the chat. Hello to you. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Thank you very, very much. So before we wrap up, we'll give our score predictions. For me, I'm going to go for a 1-0 for Manchester United. Can't see it being a very high-scoring game, but I think Manchester United will nick it probably late in the second half. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like this will be similar to the game that we played at Old Trafford. I think it'll be 3-1, because I know that United aren't going to keep a clean sheet, because we just don't do that for some reason. So we're going to concede. But I think United are enough to do the job done. And if this team plays, I probably expect a goal from Cavani. I think probably a brace from Cavani, and then probably a goal from Sancho.
Well, that would be brilliant if we are able to see that. Fingers crossed that does happen again.
Yep.
And Solo is going for 2-1 for Manchester United. So fingers crossed it is a much better high-scoring game. So I'm just going to finish off here. Absolute brilliant preview. Great to do the two of us. It's been great.
It's been great. Thanks, Maisie. Your previews are always amazing. And thank you, everyone in the chat who tuned in. We really appreciate you guys.
Yes, thank you, everyone who has all tuned in for today. Definitely means a lot. Everyone, please make sure you go hit that like and subscribe button to Red Devil Studio, and you can catch me as well on my YouTube channel, which is Devils United. Have you got anything coming up on your channel at all?
So what do I have coming on? Obviously, we'll be doing some reactions to the Burnley game tomorrow, and then obviously it's back to football. We're doing the preview again. I'm sure Maisie, we'll be doing a preview again for we're playing Southampton at the weekend. I think Southampton previews that'll be coming up as well. So yeah, guys, stay tuned for that, and we'll keep you up to date.
Great. We will see you all very, very soon, and make sure you do keep posted with the channel, because we'll be there. We'll be back very, very soon. Goodbye for now.
Take care, guys. Bye.